blow my wad on. So anyway, the Nevada State Senate passed a stadium funding bill for the Oakland A's just hours before the reverse boycott last night. Now it needs to go through the full assembly to pass.
What's the thought there, by the way?
It'll pass. Yeah. It's a simple majority there. It's a simple majority there. The Senate was the huge hurdle. Well, the governor was the huge hurdle. They got him early. The Senate was the big hurdle. That's where all the open, crazy debate happens.
Yeah, and it flipped pretty quickly. And you're going to get some assembly folks. They're doing whip counts right now, trying to figure. I'm sure they have more than a few. They've got an idea. They're probably already there, but just in case they aren't, they're just going to pass around the purse and figure out who they need to flip and how many votes comes with those flips. It is an absolute formality right now, especially with Bob Nightingale saying that the owners will unanimously. Now, which makes it amazing when you have this giant business in Major League Baseball filled with rich billionaire owners who obviously know something about business, and you're taking a team in a top 10 television market and putting it in like a bottom 30 market or 30 something market, whatever it is, that does have fan support. What are we doing here? Yeah,
as you
without
said,
a relocation fee, potentially.
What are we doing?
Yeah, and I think, I don't know the internal pressures, but these are powerful people with a lot of money. And I know it's seemingly, the word was like when the Kings were going through this, a lot of owners weren't putting as much pressure on because they don't want to be put in that spot. Like, hey, I own the Spurs, and I don't think the Malou should be owning this Kings team, but I really don't want to, put my fingerprints on this, because then what if everybody someday turns on me as the owner of this team or whatever? And I don't know if that's like protect their own kind of culture, but I also get the feeling it's got to be like anything else where you go, this group's the owner? Like, how much stronger would we be with this other person that I know wants to own a team? And I don't feel like they do enough rallying and support. Unless they do it behind the scenes, I just don't think other owners fight for making their overall ownership group stronger and better for the sport.
No, there would have to be some sort of, the only chance now, and it's not even a chance, but the only thing I can think of is there has to be some sort of outside entity that steps in. Barbara Lee, the politician, said she would introduce legislation, or at least go after the antitrust exemption for Major League Baseball, and that's a big deal. I would refer to this as the Live PGA route, because those two entities got together not because of any of the reasons they're telling you. It's because Live was suing PGA, the PGA Tour, and the PGA Tour did not want to go on the stand and have to answer tough questions like, where has all your money come from, and have any of you ever done cocaine? They don't want to do that stuff. Major League Baseball does not want to have to fight for their antitrust exemption, which, by the way, should not exist. So if Barbara Lee were to be able to gather some folks from different states and say, hey, this could happen to you, this is something, which I don't understand why she'd have a problem doing it. This is something, especially for either junior or more low-profile congresspersons, this is the type of thing that they can do to get on the news and get their faces out there. It's a very high-profile type of thing, and they need to go after the books with baseball. It's boring. It's Al Capone getting caught for tax evasion and not murder, but it's the only way at this point, feasibly, there's any shot at getting baseball to rethink this thing. Because unless John Fisher gets visited by the ghost of baseball future at some point, and has a whole Scrooge McDuck turnaround at the last minute, which don't hold your breath, it is done. It's done. It's over. Last night was not a celebration. Last night was a funeral. But it was one of those funerals where the person who died left specific instructions like, I don't want anyone to be sad. I want people to tell stories and celebrate and laugh and, eat food and stuff. That's what we saw last night.
Question for you both.
Answer for you.
Let's say there's some teeth to this legislation, right?
You talking about the Barbara Lee?
Yes. Let's say there's some teeth there, right?
Yeah.
And MLB's like, oh, damn, we don't want to lose this antitrust exemption, which is a very, like you said, that's a very real thing that they do not want to lose. Oh. Is there a scenario a la what happened in Charlotte in the NBA or in Cleveland in the NFL in the mid-90s where they're like, all right, let Fisher move this team to Vegas. We want the Vegas market regardless. We already have the deal to get done. We think Fisher might sell in the next 5 years, so we'll have better ownership there. And Oakland presents itself, and there's conversations with Rob Manfred where they're like, hey, look, we're not too far off from the funding of Howard Terminal. And we got a guy by the name of Joe Lacob who will come in, get this done. Oh, by the way, one of the most successful owners in pro sports over the last 10 years. Give us the A's rights, rename the Vegas team. Is that even a possibility?
I think it is. Because I think, to your point, whether it's Lacob or somebody else can come in and say, can we just have the Howard Terminal deal? And it's as much a real estate play as it is a baseball play for them. They're able to buy up that. Vegas was going to get an expansion baseball franchise almost certainly if they're off the table. Now you take a look back at Oakland. I do think I do think it's a possibility. Here's the problem is that I don't know this. And again, getting into this story like deeply, like why is Fisher all of a sudden not taking the Howard Terminal deal when they're so close?
Yeah. It's money.
Why is baseball unanimously approving? Like, isn't it like it's weird? Like, why are they not having to pay a relocation fee? Why is John Fisher getting helped out when he's done nothing but take revenue sharing and run his team into the ground and embarrass Major League Baseball? Like, let's just step back for a second and put on our tinfoil hats. Why is this happening in this fashion from baseballs? We get why Oakland's trying to keep the team.
Yeah.
We get why Fisher's trying to move the team. Why is baseball so happy and seemingly compliant to step away, unlike David Stern saying, we don't want to move teams? And I think the answer there probably is a couple of things, but I think one of the big things, and the reason why Jay's scenario probably won't work, is because I think the Giants' ownership is dirty. I think they're dirty. I think they're
not helping this.
Nah.
Well, and the other part too is again, my read on Rob Manfred is I think he wants to solve as quickly as possible. And honestly, the quickest solution, I mean, would have been Oakland, but that hasn't happened. And now it's, hey, let's get this moving to Vegas. And I think that's also dirty and that's bad. I don't think he's really fighting for the fans at all. And then the other part is I know what everything that was done last night. And I know we're getting to this in the next segment, like the fans having their night, but did that do anything to Fisher? Anything?
No.
Nothing?
Nothing. Not a single.
You sure?
I mean, I can't.
But the intention was it to do something, but you think he's just stubborn. Like, I've heard people want to sell forever.
Care. He has shown absolutely zero breaks in his armor.
Yeah.
As we take a break, I would like to give all of you a little bit of a homework assignment. Some of you may know a little bit about this. Some of you probably don't. Why don't you, during the break, I want you to take a look. Just Google Charles B. Johnson. He is the head CEO, owner of the San Francisco Giants.
Oh, not the former catcher?
Not him.
Oh.
He is worth $6.1 billion. Just read through his Wikipedia page and then ask yourself, especially as you get to the end of the page, ask yourself, you think this guy isn't involved behind the scenes in this whole thing? You think the Giants don't want exclusive rights in Northern California, and you think wheels aren't being greased behind the scenes? I can promise you when this is all said and done and the A's are in Vegas and somebody does a 30 for 30 on this whole thing, a major player in this whole thing is going to be the workings of the San Francisco Giants behind the scenes to help the A's with their move. Because I think John Fisher's a patsy in this whole thing. I don't think John Fisher's pulling any string. John Fisher can't tie his own shoes. Just like you think Mark Davis cut that deal in Vegas? You think Mark Davis out Sheldon Adelson, the most powerful man in Nevada? You think Boycott driving an Aerostar pulled that off? It was Jerry Jones. So this thing's dirty. It's dirty to kingdom come. We'll take